Okay, everybody, let's get started. I saw already 32 people has joined us, so that's great, right? So let's get started. I'm sure like more and more will be joining us during the session. So this is like a second call of this entire rehearsal. We plan to have actually 3 calls such like this, right? So this is the second one. So in the first call, like everybody joined and we introduced the process, and also we introduced how you can join us to be like a BP, a delegate, join the Mainnet Rehearsal. And it looks like we have been done a very good job. So that's why like we are actually kind of recap the first phase of the rehearsal, and also like starts the second phase of the rehearsal. So here's the agenda I want to talk about. Me, Zhijie, and Dong, probably Larry, we will talk about these 5 things. So first, I want to give like a recap of the first attempt, which is apparently a huge success for everybody. And then I want to talk about what's new in RC8, which is related to what's the problem we saw so far, either in other like a fix improvement best practice, right? We want to share with you guys. And the third one is like we want to repeat the bootstrapping process for the second time. So this time we are taking like a more risky approach. Like all our engineers right now, they are trying to restart the Mainnet Rehearsal 2. At this moment, I saw they are still struggling with something, but I'm sure like the Mainnet Rehearsal 2 will be online probably in half hour. Then everybody can join, right? Then the fourth session will be very, very fun. It's called Fire Drill Practice in Google Facebook. Basically means we imagine something bad happens, and what should we do, right? Let's practice together. If something really, really bad happens to IoTeX network, I'm sure like none of you want to see this. We don't want to see this too. But there could be some emergency things happen. So we want everybody to know how do we want to do an emergency stop, how to deploy a hotfix, which includes like a hard fork. And also we want to have like a homework for you guys, probably like a bounty kind of homework, which is like a DDoS other delegate or the network. And last, we want to discuss in the troubleshooting. So first thing first is if you want to give like guest session, I'm sure like some of you want to give this kind of session, like a Cobol wallet. So please contact Larry, right? So, or on the other side, if there are other detailed sessions you want to see, also contact Larry. For example, some people want to see, oh, how can I use this rewarding tool from this delegate, right? Probably just contact Larry, and Larry will contact another delegate saying, could you please share your tool? Because other people want to see how to use it. So we want to make this like a more interactive kind of online activity. Okay. So I'm going straight into the recap of the attempt 1. So this attempt 1 has been going on for 7 days roughly, and everything has been going so well. Let me like full screen my slide. So we have this lovely dashboard from our eng team, which says, so here is the chain height which has been reached 65,000 or so. I'm sure a little bit more, and also chain health, which is like how health this chain is, right? Usually it's full, but like when I take the screenshot, it's not full apparently. And also delegates review. Apparently everybody's happy, everybody's busy. Lots of people ask like, why do I have to open the port for you guys? Why do I have to open give you the IP, right? So that's because this is needed here for us to monitor what is going wrong, because we don't want like a network get into the unhealthy state, which will have impact on everybody. Of course, you guys stake a lot in the network. We want it to be healthy, right? So that's why at the very initial stage, we want you to support IP and port to us, only us. Do not tell your IP to other people, right? Just to us. So we will have add your IP to this dashboard, so you will see something going wrong. So you will see some, you will see this become red. Also, we have like a Discord bot. We notify you if your node is like a highly behind the current tip height, or if your node is become unhealthy, you will also got pinged on Discord. So that's attempt 1. And also during attempt 1, we did like a load test. Usually like a blockchain is not that busy. Like if we see like lots of blockchain projects, after they got like a mainnet launch, there are usually not a lot of TPS on the blockchain. But we want to try to see like how much IoTeX blockchain can take, right? So that's why we inject lots of loads. I'm sure Zhijie will have more details, information about this load test, but I'm sure we put like a 50 TPS, which is totally fine for everybody. Then we just increase the load to 200 TPS. We saw some problem there because not all of you use like the recommended configuration of the machines. So that's why we can see some machines become lag behind by the traffic. But generally speaking, like a chain becomes healthy because like a 2/3 or a little bit more of 2/3 are still doing what you're doing. So have like a very good configuration of the machine. So the chain is good. So generally speaking, everything is going so well. And also we do some statistics around who's doing well, who's not doing well, what should do, what should not do, right? So that's why we have this BP status. We will open source this too very soon. But like for now, it's still like a very, command line style too. So that's why we just keep it internal. The idea is we will just scan all the blocks produced by everyone. So we will have like idea about who produced a block. In other way, it says how many blocks one delegate can propose during which epoch, right? So that's why we have this kind of this table. Actually, this table. So it's very interesting. And then we can calculate the productivity based on the number of blocks one produced, which is pretty simple, right? That's the number you should produce divided by the number you actually proposed, which we have this percentage. So lots of you are doing well because we do have the minimum requirement. You have to have like a productivity above 90%, 90%, in order to get an epoch bonus, right? So I'm not trying to criticize anyone, but for example, like if your productivity is 30 something, you're losing epoch bonus, which is not good for you. But if you have like your productivity, for example, 90.43, then you're good. You're getting epoch reward. Then people will be wondering like why some people have even like more than 100 productivity. Let me try Discord actually. Yeah, that's because like so that's the mechanism we have is if one delegate miss his block, then this chance will basically be passed to the next one, right? So then this one will have like a lower productivity because you missed your block, but the next one would be very lucky because you actually can just produce 2 blocks. That means you can get like 2 block reward as well as you will have like a more than 100% productivity. So that means like those folks, they're doing really well. They have like a strong machine, so you can actually do a little bit more block production to help delegates who don't have a very good machine. So that's the meaning of this table. Right? So back to the first one. So what does this mean? Because as you guys know, we have this row depots. We have 36 delegates. Some of them are robots apparently, but some of them are not. So the algorithm will select 24 delegates in each epoch, right? So that's why we want to know if this row kind of behavior is random enough. That's why we have this table. That means like for this delegate, how many epochs it has been active, how many epochs it has been elected, meaning like in the 36 group. And here's the total number of the epochs. That's basically the probability we are expecting. So that means like a row part is doing really good. It's fair to everybody. And we do see some issues during the rehearsal, which is good, right? Which give us this chance to improve, to doing a better. Actually, that's the main purpose for this rehearsal is trying to identify issues, trying to fix them, trying to improve on the practice, also trying to educate everybody here to do a better job. So Zhijie, you want to take on this?
Yeah. So we can first talk about the slow sync problems. For the people who joined the last rehearsal conference call, probably you have the experience that when you join the mainnet rehearsal, you experience very slow sync with our blockchain. There's a couple of issues that we have identified, and we try to fix this in the new release that will make everybody's experience much better. So to talk about the details, we find the following problems. One is in our peer-to-peer networks, we find the previous way to get the neighbors from academic overlay is very expensive, and we changed it to some way to simply query the local peer store. And we also find we have the Bootstrap nodes that are disturbing our peers to returning the blocks, and in the new ways we also do some filtering to prevent their disturbing. And another thing is we used to do the block sync not very aggressively, and in the new Mainnet Rehearsal, we do some configure tuning, and also the improvement of grabbing the most recent blocks to commit more aggressively. That also helps the block sync speed. And this is from the IoTeX blockchain side, and for you, probably you guys know, we also need to fetch the data from the Ethereum to improve the to calculate the election result to use this to determine who are going to be the delegates. And for that, we also do the improvement to put the Ethereum data in parallel. That is also going to speed up the Bootstrap speed. Yeah, so this is the slow sync problem, and we have fixed it, and hopefully in this new rehearsal, everybody is going to feel better. The other things we also identified during the last rehearsal is in our ARU cache, there are some bugs that causing the concurrent access to the ARU cache, and will eventually make the IoTeX node panic. And we fixed that by synchronizing the ARU cache access. So due to this problem and the previous pain points on the block sync, we build some fix, the fix for the ARU cache and the part of the blocks improvements, and bundle all these things into a new release candidate which is RC7, and push it out. And and we use this to test if we can do the soft fork on our blockchain, because this is going to be completely compatible in the protocol level. So what we did in the between the last Friday and this Monday is we first do the upgrade of our half our robots to RC7, and then notify you guys to do the upgrading to the RC7 too. And on this Monday, we upgrade another half of our robots to the RC7. So during this period of 3 days, we have the combination of the RC6 nodes and RC7 nodes to run together, and everything was just working fine. That looked very awesome, as I expected. And in the last 2 days, we did some additional experiment on the Mainnet Rehearsal with trying to test how much workloads our testnet can, our Mainnet Rehearsal can handle. So we do 2 rounds. In the first round, we take about 50, we inject about 50 transaction per second workloads into our mainnet, and this was running pretty well. Actually, despite there's just maybe 3 or 4 nodes have some issues, and they can fix them very quickly. And the second round we did in the last day is the 200 TPS. For this one, we have observed there are more nodes that has been overloaded by running this high TPS traffic. Some problems we identified is some participants are actually using the low-profile computers that is not meeting the requirement, the hardware requirement we set before, and some others was making some mistake. They didn't attach the disk volume to the machine they have provisioned on the cloud, so that they quickly hit the storage limit, and they can no longer put more blocks onto their disk. This is the things we find, and hopefully in the next rehearsal, people should be care about your hardware requirement and avoid these issues again in the future. Yeah, so based on the things we have observed during these rehearsals, we have some best practice recommend. The first is to make your node to run reliable. You first need to have a performant hardware, like for example, on AWS, you should have the 2x large and even better computer to run your nodes, in case that we will still testing your workloads, on this network, and also make sure you have the storage attached to your instance. Also, we get feedback from the community that how we're going to make our private key secure. So what you can do right now is to when you run your node, you type your private key into the configure to make it run, and once the container has been started, you can just remove this key from a configure, because this no longer need to be read anymore. So you don't need to worry about someone can hack into your machine and read the key that is stored in plain text. And also for the operations, we wish everybody is going to provide detailed, the full contact information through our member portal. And also we need your node to have some stacked IP or domain name instead of some ephemeral IP. That is easy for us to monitor your node health. That has been introduced by Roland at the very beginning. Also, we have created a Discord bot, which will, based on your health status, to ping you on the Discord channel Mainnet Health notifications. So please pay attention to this. If you are pinged, most likely you have something wrong with your node. You need to take some action. Yeah, and in one of the last sessions, we actually talked about this before, how we set up about our node infrastructure and the monitoring on core stuffs. People who want to know more details, you could watch the recap of the last session. Here we are not going to talk too much details, but just a highlight is we use a load balancer, we use the Envoy to do the limit to hide our blockchain node behind that, and we use the Prometheus to do the monitoring. We have the PagerDuty and the Slack integration to notify all the things that are related to the health of our nodes. So recommended you guys can use these tools or use the similar tools to set up your infrastructure to make the operation more smoothly. I will give back to Roland to continue for the next session.
Okay, RC6 and RC7, as mentioned, has been like a huge success to everybody. So, but still, on top of our RC6, we actually have a new release called RC8, which is this week's release, which has been exercised in our testnet for at least 2 days, and no problems has been witnessed so far. So we are confident we can actually move forward this RC8 to our rehearsal pipeline, right? So what's new in the RC8? So basically, there are some like engineering improvements we have been done, given the feedback from you, given like the problems we saw in the previous attempt. So the first one is separate headers, footers, and block. Before that, we actually have the headers, footers, and block just stored together. However, because we want to implement like lightweight SPV kind of client, so that's why we separate them. Also, this will makes like thinking of the blockchain more efficient. For example, as a light node, right? You don't have to download all the blocks. Like one option you will have is trying to download all the headers of all the blocks. That would be super fast. Then with the most recent header, you can start to validate transactions, trying to serve other API clients. So that's one. The second one is faster sync. I think JJ just gave like an introduction about the faster sync. This is also something very related to his PhD research, like how to make P2P network faster and more reliable. So given this improvement, we are confident like you can kind of sync up to 1,500 blocks per minute. But that's basically tested on our machine. So again, we have to emphasize you have to use like a machine with decent performance to get there. The third one and fourth one is mostly like some improvement for API clients. We want to expose block hash and height via receipts and the reward details via logs. So that's why all the tools, all the clients, the apps, whatever, that would have like a easier time to get all those informations without going back to the blockchain and query again. The fourth one is to upgrade IoTeX election package to 0.1.6. So basically, as many of you already know, IoTeX-election is a different repo, but that's the really core part of how IoTeX blockchain syncing states from Ethereum blockchain, right? So just trying to remind of you, like at this current stage, we still use Ethereum blockchain and also ERC20 as a governance layer for IoTeX blockchain. So all the voting, staking that is going on the Ethereum blockchain, while all the delegation and block production is on the IoTeX blockchain. And IoTeX election is such a package or library that's basically bridge these two blockchains. That's really important. Yeah, also open source. Feel free to take a look if you want. So we fixed some bugs and regressions in the previous version and released a new version. Stringent tests for contract and virtual machine. Yeah, for this version, like IoTeX blockchain actually integrates UVM from Ethereum. But apparently there are lots of corner cases that hasn't been like tested fully, especially like the failure cases, right? So if you like run a contract, but you can fail in the middle, what does it do, right? Should we just revert all the states but still charge the gas fee? Those kind of scenarios is what we actually focus a lot on this test. So if you look at the code base, if you look at the recent commit, we're actually checking lots of codes trying to guarantee, trying to ensure this contract virtual machine will run as expected. So this is not like a huge engineering effort, but we want to make sure everything's right so people can build the apps on top of that. Yeah, speaking of that, actually, it's too bad to see, right? Lots of blockchain, like public blockchains, they have launched recently, but they actually disable their virtual machine part of the blockchain. I don't want to mention the name, but if you guys can look around the market, who's launched mainnet recently, but have their contract and virtual machine disabled. That's like such a sad thing, right? So still, we want to make sure like this is the right thing for us to do. Lastly, is like IOCTL keeps improving. IOCTL is the command line tool of IoTeX blockchain, while our Explorer is still in progress. I'm sure it will be done probably in 1 or 2 weeks before the mainnet launch. IOCTL is the main tool for people to interact with the IoTeX blockchain. So if you want to know more information about how to use this tool, please go to docs.iotex.io. We have like a very, actually, let me just go through this. I think that would be like a very useful resource for everybody to use. So we have this documentation site. It's called docs.iotex.io. It has some introduction about how's the entire design and how do you like build and run IoTeX full node from scratch, basically using like a Docker image. And that's the thing I want to emphasize here is like this command line interface. You can basically you can build, no, you don't have to build. You can just download and install, use this like a shell script. That could be pretty easy. After installation, then you can do something like IOCTL, config, set the endpoint. Usually you want to talk to the endpoint. That looks like this, right? This is for testnet. For the mainnet, you can just remove this part. So that's API.IoTeX.1, port 80. So that's the endpoint you want to talk to in order to get all the informations around the blockchain. Then after that, you can do some account creation, wallet creation. So even list accounts, balance, query nonce. Yeah, I want to emphasize this alias part. So this is a very good design for IoTeX blockchain. Because before that, we see lots of pain points around the Ethereum is like, it's really hard to remember this address, right? It's not meaningful to human being. So there is no point for human being to just to remember this one. So that's why US come with like a different naming model. Basically, you give it like a 12 character kind of naming. You can name your account, but that's an on-chain behavior. And we do think we should basically mitigate the pain point from Ethereum by having people remembering this like a really long string. And also we should not put too much work, especially those like business logics on the chain. So that's why we have this local alias. That would be super easy for people to use. You can add the alias of other BP's operator address, so you know who are producing blocks or not, right? And also you can remove, you can list, of course. So that should be like a really cool feature. Deploy contract and other things. Oh, since we're here, I also want to introduce this action injector because this will be related to the homework that will be given to you guys after during the fire drill. So action injector is basically a tool to inject actions to the network with some randomness, right? So for example, you want probably inject 10,000 of transactions, we call it actions, into the network. Then that's a tool you want to use here. You can download and just run this tool, giving it some address, some parameters here. So that's basically a tool we use during the load testing. Try to crash down the blockchain, but however, it still withstand. Okay, let me go back to my presentation. So Kevin, are you here?
Yes. Yeah. So right now, I think the Neri are still working on getting the secondary rehearsal chain up to speed. While we are waiting for that, let me talk about the file drill. The file drill means whenever there's a fire, what we can do here. I think the scenario would be when there is a fire, what we should do. Because all the delegates we all work together to make our chain stable, secure. That is very important. You also know whenever there's something on fire, what we can do all together. So today we can, because right now the chain is not up to speed, we have to talk about this through first, and but later we also need to practice as well. That is the purpose of file drill. The first one I'm going to talk about is emergency stop. In case there is something really bad happen, for example, like there's a 0-day vulnerability, and we need to stop our chain immediately to prevent some asset loss. And a really extreme case would be any coin on the chain can be transferred without the private key, which is I don't think it would happen. But in extreme case, if this is such a bad thing happens, what we can do, and the action would be all the nodes would be expected to stop their container, which is a Docker container. Use the Docker stop command immediately to mitigate the chain would stop, and then we will put up a hotfix, and everybody install the hotfix, and then the chain can go again. And if the chain is already up to speed, and when we do the file drill, and maybe later today or maybe in our next session, and when we have most people here, we would ask everybody to do it live, and we can expect to see in our dashboard, the chain's height has been stopped. I can show you actually here. Okay, this dashboard shows the current height is still 0, and we will expect to see the height stop at a certain height that doesn't go up. Go back. And after everybody stops, and also the IoTeX team has already identified the problem and made a hotfix, and we would like to make the hotfix to all the delegates, and all the nodes should upgrade to the hotfix. For example, like this one, we in the file drill, we will have a rc8-hotfix as a Docker name, so that you just install the hotfix, and without cleaning the states of DB, and then restart the nodes. And after this, we will expect to see the consensus has been reached again, and the chain height has started to increase, and also, of course, the zero vulnerability has been fixed. And also, we are going to have a homework that is to prevent to pretend a villain wants to DDoS delegate. So right now we also provide a tool which Roland introduced earlier, that is an action injector, which can be used to inject a lot of actions. And but there might be a difficult part that is to find the IP of our other delegate. That's also why the IP is very important. When you expose your IP, and but which you can actually do that as a delegate, and you can send a lot of actions to another delegate to get their machine down if they are not protected very well. And in the very beginning, we also said we expect all the delegates to actually have this kind of protection. So right now we want to actually test it, whether you have done the proper configuration, whether you have the real protection of your machine. And here is our reward. The first 3 who succeeded to attack another delegate will be rewarded 50K IoTeX from the IoTeX Foundation. And but still, the expected outcome will be no one gets hurt, but the chain still healthy. Okay. One more thing, I also want to introduce the website, support.iotex.io, and that is very it's kind of like a troubleshooting website. If you are following the IoTeX docs website, also the instructions that we provided in our GitHub, if anything doesn't work, you can feel free to ask in our Discord group, but also you can do yourself troubleshooting here. For example, like many people asked, what does current node is not delegate mean? When you actually search here, you can actually find the answer. But also this website is still being developed. There are still very few questions and answers here. If you got your answer from Discord, from other places, also feel free to submit a ticket here. Yeah, submit a ticket here, and with your questions and answer, and we will also edit and put on the website that can be used for other people as well.
Great. So yeah, while we are just waiting for the final things, wanted to share with you guys some updates to the member or the voting website. So as you can see, we've kind of added some new categories here for the consensus delegates. For now, again, it's 12 consensus delegates. And then everyone else is a normal delegate, quote unquote. And then after here, we also have people that are candidates, so people that have not yet made it to 2 million vote threshold. In the future, we also have some updates that we're going to add. All these server endpoints that we're collecting, we're going to have them as a new column and basically have a status to show which nodes are online, which ones are not online, and which ones are not properly configured or equipped. So those changes will start to be rolling out pretty soon. And another thing we wanted to talk about is in the delegate section of the website, we added some additional changes here. So this is what you will see as a first-time visitor if you're not a delegate. Basically, what is happening right now is IoTeX as a network does not need to approve people to become a delegate. It's completely decentralized in that aspect. So anyone can kind of follow these instructions and create their own delegate node. Nothing's changing on this profile site. But one thing that we wanted to mention is for your reward distribution plan. This is something that we chatted about during the orientation call number 1. If you haven't already checked it, let me pull up some instructions, basically outlining what we're asking everyone to do. So these are kind of weekly instructions for April 1st to April 8th. We do these every week. So if you're just joining the program, then you can check out all of the different posts that we have on instructions. This one is specifically focused on Mainnet Rehearsal and some profile updates. So everyone's mining on Testnet and Mainnet. These are our infrastructure instructions. This is what we're mentioning. So very soon, we're going to be adding this feature for technical details. So in the member website, just going to technical information here, we would like you to put your server endpoint here, which we're going to use to ping your server to see if it's online. And I think a lot of people maybe have a primary and a backup server. So we're still working on a solution to maybe ping both of those servers. But for now, if you want the latest status of your server to be shown on this view, then we ask that you go in manually and kind of input your latest server. So that's this kind of view here. There are a few ways to avoid needing to frequently update your server details. So you can reserve an external IP on the cloud. You can use the same cloud load balancer, or you can use a domain name and provide that to us, so you don't have to change your DNS setup. Any questions on this? You can just reach out to us and we can help you walk through your specific setup. But generally, this is the system that we're going to set up. It's going to be completely visible to voters. So try to keep your machines up and running so that try to provide that transparency. The next piece that we have listed here is to update your rewards plan. We have not been too, we haven't tried to police everyone and chase people to update. But before Mainnet does, we will try to get everyone to change to a standardized format. And that standardized format is nothing special. It's just give us a percentage for all the different segments of rewards. And we talked about this a little bit last time, where the Epic bonus reward is available to all the top 100 delegates. And for now, there are not 100 delegates. So everyone will be getting the Epic bonus reward, which is something that's guaranteed for voters. So they should know that. Block rewards will be only given to the top 12 delegates for now. And, throughout 2019, we'll increase that to 13, 14, 15, all the way to 36. And the foundation bonus is only for the top 36. So what we want people to do is simply get the Epic bonus reward, the block rewards, IoTeX Foundation bonus percentages, all kind of in separate percentages, right? If you were planning to give 80% across all rewards, please indicate that in, say, Epic bonus reward, 80%, block rewards, 80%, You can also choose to do 0% or 100% in different configurations, and let us know what, it gives a better idea of what exactly the rewards you're going to give. I see a lot of delegates already creating, voter reward calculation tools. So that's great. I think it's a good thing to add transparency to your delegate, especially if other delegates are doing this and you don't have one. It may be harder for people to place their votes for you. Another thing we want for you to add to this section is payout frequency. So whether you are paying rewards every day, every 3 days, every week, etc., we would like you to add this payout frequency. Right now, just to give you an update on our rewards tool, or rewards payout tool. So from what I understand, there are multiple parts to this. One is the multi-send feature, which is basically a contract that lets you send many transactions to different wallets. And we'll also have the token swap feature. We're going to give you a report of all of the voters that voted for you and how many times, so you can do those calculations and use that multi-send to send to all the different addresses. One thing to note is that this will occur on the IoTeX blockchain. So it's not going to be sending ERC20 tokens, but it's going to be sending the native tokens that you will receive as delegate rewards. The last part is, what are you planning to do with those rewards? So I know some people have plans for, based on, this is the rewards that voters will be getting, but the other rewards that voters will not get, some of it, obviously delegates will keep to run their infrastructure, also pay for operational costs, take some profit, but also, some people will want to donate to DApp funds and things like that. So please make sure to update all of your information as soon as possible.
I saw there's one question from Zoom chat. What happens if delegate private key is stolen? Roland, do you want to take?
Delegate private key. Okay, that's a really good question. So so there are a couple of keys, right? Well, I want to explain this clearly. So the key that's the most important one is the Ethereum key that you have in your MetaMask. So that is a key of a key, right? That's an admin key. So with this key, you can change your operator address, you can change your reward address, you can change on the mainnet, you can change in the Mainnet Rehearsal, even on Testnet, right? So that's a really super confidential and never leak it. In terms of operator key, so it's not that a big deal. So if it's compromised, you can change on the portal, like a member.iotex.io or member-rehearsal.iotex.io anytime. And also because it's all the mining rewards, BP reward won't go to this operator key, so it's not a really big deal if you lose the key. No one can steal anything from you, right? But for the reward key, you want to keep it at least like as confidential as the admin key, because all the mining rewards, BP reward, epoch, block, whatever reward will go to the reward key. So if you get that part compromised, then people can just claim the reward on behalf of you and probably transfer token somewhere else. You cannot track them down. So that's why we actually separate the duties of different keys, right? So for the MetaMask key, it's mostly used for staking, voting, and managing all the other keys. For the operator key, it's mostly just give it to your worker, for example, give it to your who's probably technical supporter, right? Just put it on the machine and let it run. And for your reward key, you never show it to other people. You keep it confidential, right? So that's the whole purpose of the 3 keys.
Do you have any instructions if someone still lost their key?
Yeah, so that's really depends on which key you lost, right? So if you lost like the admin key, then that's actually really too bad. Like you have to set up the entire staking and voting process for yourself. You have to tell all your voters to probably shift to another name, the delegate name. You have to, I'm not sure, probably even put another additional 1.2 million IoTeX into the new account. So that's a worst case. Should never happen. And if you lose your operator key, So I think the first step is you just generate another operator key locally and put the address on the member.iotex.io, and also put this new operator private key on your node, right? And then just restart your machine. That should be it. Yeah, reward key, like I said, you should never expose this to anyone else. You should just always keep it confidential. If it's compromised, the same thing you can do the same thing. So generate another rewarding key locally and give the address to the member.iotex.io. So it will tell the IoTeX blockchain where to send the reward to. That's it.
Yep. So that's kind of an overview of the different keys that are associated. And to set your operator and your beneficiary key, you will just go to member.iotex. And this is, I think everyone knows this already, but just to recap, you would want to name registration. You can always change your name for voting. We don't recommend this because if you change your name, then that means all of the other, it won't automatically switch your votes to this new name, right? This is linked to your Ethereum address. So if you change this, then what happens is voters will get a notification that they're voting for a delegate without the name, without a proper name. So they'll need to switch. But it's best if you set this and leave it. So the operator address and reward address, as Rowland mentioned, this can be changed anytime. But if you do change your operator address, make sure to, again, protect your private keys. Same with the reward address. Great. So yeah, it looks like we can shift over to Discord and get the rehearsal going just in a few minutes. I think everyone is just still getting set up. And yeah, please refer to the Mainnet Rehearsal pipeline or thread on Discord.
Hey guys, this is Roland, right? Finally, some exciting news, some really good news. Everything is going so well on the verification side, and the configuration and the genesis.yaml, they are ready. So feel free to spin up your node. That should work. Everything should work. And also remember, this one is very challenging and take a little bit of time. Is because we're trying to start from fresh for you guys to join even on the first epoch, right? So that takes a little bit of time. Okay, so I'm going to send you the link in the Discord channel where it has all the configuration, all the instructions. Please follow that, and you will see your node sync up to the network super fast, and probably will start to produce blocks in the next epoch. And also, please ping me when you're ready, right? Because we will have to enroll your node into the network once you are ready, once you are fully sync up. Yeah, because given now the blockchain height is only 120, so I don't think I think it will take a lot of time. Cool.
Great. So yeah, the process from here will just be everyone, please start sync your nodes as you mentioned, and once everyone is synced, we'll dive into some fire drill practice, just going through the emergency stop and deploying this RC8 hotfix that we've prepared. So everyone, please, go to the Discord. Looks like a lot of people are syncing now, and we'll have the conversation in Discord.
Hello, this is Kevin. Please note, if you already downloaded the config and Genesis YAML config file, please re-download them again because we have just changed the config file.
Yeah, so now I'm sharing this screen with everyone's nodes coming up. So again, please ping Rowland when you are all synced, and we can get you onboarded and start producing blocks once enough people have synced. It looks like we are going to postpone the fire drill to the next consensus rehearsal. So for today, we're going to focus on getting everyone up and running on RC8. And next time we will do the emergency stop and hotfix But for now, let's just focus on getting everyone synced. Thanks.